Hey guys, this is my first ever video for YouTube. Just wanted to practice using the gimbal and show you guys how I set up this table. So this is the Ingo table from Ikea. And yeah, we'll get started. All right, so the first thing I like to do is actually take a look at the parts and organize the parts, so the pieces that come with it. So if you take a look at the manual, you can actually see all the different parts you need. So with this table, it actually comes in a box like this. So I'll do it right now. So if you can actually tell here, I've separated them by the different types, and then up there I have them organized. Just make sure that you count the hardware you have and what's in the manual. Sometimes I've actually been like missing one. If you go to IKEA, they can give you replacements for it, but just make sure you have all the pieces before you get started. So for step one, we just need to arrange the four pieces, the four wood pieces. So I've done that here. Just want to call out one thing though. So with this wood piece, even though it's longer, just make sure that the side with the slits is facing up with the two holes. And then with regards to these side pieces, you're gonna notice that on both sides it looks like it looks different. So the ones with the three holes, make sure it's facing outward. The smaller holes inward, and then these holes are up. So make sure you do all four sides like that. And then for that side, same thing, but just make sure the side with the small hole, right, is facing inward, and that the larger hole is outward. For the hardware, take four of these four bracket things, right? Make sure you put them on each side, and then the two pegs. So it doesn't have a number, but that item right there, just put it over there. And then we're also going to need the smaller screw. So based on the picture, we would need two for each. So since there's four of them, we would need 8 of them. What I like to do is I'd like to just take 2 and just put it around each hardware and then assemble it. All right, so let's do the easy part. These pegs just simply go on the left side hole. So you just take it, you put it in, and push in. Repeat this one for the other side as well. Once again, we're just going to do it in the left side hole. So you just take it, take the wood, push it in, and that's it. So for this next step, we're going to have to screw this piece into these two holes. Looking at the pictures, they look pretty much identical on both sides. There isn't really a big difference. So let's do it. So just line it up. This part goes inside the slit. Line up the holes. Take your 2 screws. And what I usually do is I just put it in, turn it like once, kind of like lock it in, and then just go like that. And then take your screwdriver. I know, ignore the drill bit or the 2-inch bit, but then all you would do simply is screw it in. So for the sake of time, I'm going to do it off camera, but just make sure that you repeat it for both sides. Sorry for the tilt. So that side there, and then the other 2 pieces as well. So I'll be right back as soon as that's done. All right, so if you're done step 1 properly, you should have that peg in on both sides. And then on top of it, you should have completed all 4 of them with the screws in. Make sure you use a screwdriver. Sometimes if you use impact or something, you might like strip it and kind of mess it up. So use a screwdriver and do it by hand. And that's what it looks like after step 1. All right. So for step 2, essentially what we're going to do is we're going to be joining the pieces together. So literally just taking these sides, putting them up like that, and putting these pieces in and doing it. You'll notice that there's a warning there. And essentially what it's saying is to make sure that the bigger hole is facing up, not the smaller hole. So that's all it's saying. So just make sure the bigger hole is facing up. Make sure that both sides are there. And then essentially you're going to take the same screws that we used, so the smaller pieces, and just do the other side of it. So yeah, I'll show you one in motion. And one more thing as well, when you're doing this, so you're turning it to the side, make sure that these 3 holes are facing up. So if you look right here, 1, 2, 3, not the side with the peg that's facing down, right? It's facing up. Then you take this one, this longer piece over here, and see the slit? You just simply put that one in here. And then take your 2 screws and screw it in over there. So I'll get them done and I'll show you what it looks like when you're finished. All right, So with that, step 2 is done. So it should look something like that when you're finished it. Those gaps in the side are pretty normal. The only thing I would say to keep an eye on that I kind of almost messed up on myself is make sure that these bigger holes are all facing up and all the pegs are down. Sometimes when you're putting it together, it's easy to forget, but just double check it, make sure all the holes are big all around, and that's that. And with this step, you should have finished all the smaller screws that you had. So the first one, if you have any remaining, just check that out. But other than that, we go to step 2. So with step 2, we're gonna be using the longer screws, right? So these ones right here are the second one, and putting it into the table. So it looks like I need to put the table underneath and do it. And when you put the screw, you're gonna also be using that washer. So the one that ends in 28, and that would be the washer with 12. So the smaller one's right over here. So second last one, and doing it. So I'll show you guys once the table is underneath. All right, so for the next step, make sure when you have your table flat, look for the side with the holes on it. So with this one here, there's one with 2 holes right over there. And that's where those pegs are gonna be going in. The other side doesn't have holes, so if you flip it over, you won't see anything. Right, so look, no holes. So make sure this side is up, and then essentially you're just gonna take that piece and put it on top. So once again, you take the other piece, make sure the big holes are facing on top, just like the diagram, and the pegs are going down, right? So just put it in. And then essentially what you're gonna be doing here is, at least look, I'll show you on over here. On this side, see that hole? You're just gonna line the peg along with it. So essentially, wait for it. I put the peg in, done. So I ran into a bit of an issue and I was like, you know what, let me just show you guys just in case you get stuck with it at home. So I put the other side in and I'm trying to put this one in, but it doesn't line up. Easy fix, just take your hands, push out, and it'll pop into place. And that's it. So once you have that, now we need to take our screws and put it in. All right, so for this step, essentially you're taking the screw, the long one, and then the little circle thingy, so this piece right here, the one that we have 12 of, and just simply put it in the screw. And then, once it's there, drop it into place. Just like that. So once again, screw, washer, in, drop it into place. Drop it in place. And again, goes in. Drop in place. So once you have it in, now you got to screw it in. So take your screwdriver, and this is where the 2-inch bit comes in. Put it in, and just start screwing it in. Make sure to line it up against the thing and just screw. So I'll be right back as soon as I'm done everything else. All right, ladies and gentlemen, change of plans. So I tried screwing in, but it was taking too long. So I got myself an impact driver. I'm using the bit. The manual doesn't say that I have to screw it in, so I'm just going to use it. If you can try to screw it in, sometimes you can mess things up, but if you're lazy like me, just use an impact driver. So take it, put it in, and that's it. When you hear that sound, same thing here. Perfect. So do that all around, and then I'll be back when I'm done. All right, so my gimbal dried, but if you take a look in, you can't really see it. Let me see if I can use some light. Oh, there you can see it. So all the screws are in, 12 of them in total, all around. And then once you're done that, we can go to the next step. All right, so let's move on to step 4. We're not touching the table now, we're doing the legs. So take one of the legs, take the side that has the 2 holes up right there. So just like that, there's only one side like that. And essentially you're gonna take these pieces, these 2 pieces, and I'll sew that piece over there. Just keep a heads up, sorry, just a heads up. When you look at that piece, they look kind of similar, but they're not. One side has like a slit on it. You notice at the top, there's a line right there. The other side doesn't have a line. And if you look at the picture very carefully, right, the line with the slit in the middle is facing towards the hole. So I don't want to have issues later on. So when you're just doing it, take it, put it in, and make sure that line is facing outward. And then you line it up, right? Take your piece, I don't even know what you call this thing, put it in, and then just tighten it. So I'll show you when I'm done all 4 legs. All right, so step 4 is completed. All 4 of them are in. Just remember what I said, the line piece needs to be facing outwards towards a hole and put it in. I did it wrong first, but when you have it in the right way, it's a lot easier. So now that you've done that, now it's time to actually assemble our legs. So looking at it, pretty easy. So all we're gonna be doing is on the corner over here. So for each of the corners, you're taking your leg, right, and you're putting it in. And then it should fit into that like cutout. And then now, with the only pretty much hardware you have left, which is that and that, sorry, cutout. But pretty much with the only hardware you have left, you just take that and that, and simply go back over here, put the washer in first, and then tighten it with that. So it looks like Ikea's actually given you a tool to tighten with it. So just take the tool, and then just simply, sorry, I'm recording this with one hand, so it's kind of hard, but you just tighten it in, and it'll go in place. So I'm just gonna do it for all 4 sides. Literally, it's the only hardware left, and I'll be right back. All right, so I've done step 6. I put the sockets in. All of them are done. And with that, we're finished the install. So let me try one of these TikTok things. Yeah, no, it's TikTok. I just like saying it like that, but. And that's the finished product.